you're a single mom or a homeschooling mom who's about to go through a divorce and you don't know how you're going to balance parenting, work, and finding time for self-care and having peace in your life, I just want to share what a blessing teaching has been on my single motherhood journey. When I was pregnant with my son, I ended up getting laid off from my teaching job. And at the time, it was one of the most devastating experiences. I was single, I was pregnant, I didn't know how we were going to manage, and it was scary. And the moment I saw my son and I laid eyes on him, I realized that I had to be home with him. And being laid off from my job ended up being the biggest blessing. And for 10 years, I was able to find different ways to stay home with him while still supporting us. I had nannying gigs. I had an in-home childcare adventure play group. I found different ways to support us while staying home with my son. And I just did different jobs that would allow me to make money and also have him home and be home with him. I always found ways to support the two of us while continuing to stay home with him and have him home with me. So I found jobs that felt like I was still a stay-at-home mom, but I was making money at the same time. When he was first born, I was a nanny. I nannied with other families and brought him along with me. Then I became a live-in house parent for homeless teen moms. I was a live-in caregiver for an elderly woman. I pet sat. We had an in-home childcare business, adventure play group for other homeschooling families, before I ended up starting a business where I was doing interior redesign and professional organizing. But every single job was perfect because it just allowed me to be home and provide for my son. I believe it was 2022, my son was about to go into 5th grade. I was still doing my redesign business and I was going through the family court system, and it was just a very trying time. I was really struggling emotionally, financially. We did not feel stable. At the time, we were living in a renovated camper, which is what I had wanted, but the reality of that was very different than what I was hoping for. And I was at my rock bottom financially, and I really needed to figure out a solution. So I ended up applying for substitute teaching positions, and I ended up just getting this phone call from the sweetest, most joyful principal, and she invited me to visit her school, and she said they needed a life skills teacher, which is special ed, which is what my degree was in. And she's like, just come in, bring your son, see if you like it. And I ended up falling in love with the school. And my son we were financially strapped, and he felt it too. And he was kind of, Mom, just try it out. Let's see how it goes. He was at that point where he was just over the way we were living too. So I made the leap. I think it was a week or two before the school year started, or the school year started that week. It was a very quick decision. I was like, I'm going back into teaching. And I just want to share some of the reasons why teaching is such a blessing for single moms. And especially, I talk to homeschool moms all the time and share that I wish there was more of us that would go into the teaching profession and bring our belief systems and our philosophy into the schools and incorporate the two. There are things that I take from homeschooling and I infuse into my classroom. And then there are things from my classroom that I believe would improve homeschooling. So it's just finding the balance between the two and infusing them is just a really beautiful thing. And I would like to share more about that and how to help people combine the two to make your classroom successful and your homeschool environment successful. Anyways, if you're a homeschooling mom and your kids are all grown, consider going back into teaching because it's such a good experience for the kids and for us. So now I'd just like to share some of the things that teaching can do for you as a single mom. So there are built-in benefits of becoming a teacher. The consistent hours, they align with the kids' schedules. Usually when you're a teacher, you can bring your students, your children to school with you wherever you work. And even if you're in a different district, you can bring them. So your kids are coming to school with you, you're dropping them off and then going into your position, and it aligns with their schedules, and you have your summers and your holidays off together. The only difference is, as a teacher, sometimes you'll have professional development days and your kids are not in school that day, so that can be challenging. But if you have someone else at home or a stable co-parent to help you, or even some schools are really flexible and they'll let you bring your kids to school with you. My school is like that. We're always allowed to bring our children, and my son would help me set up for the school year, or he'd come in on breaks and just help me with stuff. So that's really special. And teaching the schedule, the routine, just being aligned with your kids' schedule and routine if they're in school, it leads to a stable, structured life. And as someone with, I'm assuming, ADHD, I didn't realize how much I benefited from structure and how much it supports my life and makes things feel easier for me. So I really enjoy that. When we have summer break, as much as I love it, it's too open-ended for me. It gives me anxiety. I have to schedule my workouts at the gym for early in the morning so that I get out of bed and I'm ready for the day. Otherwise, we don't get out of the house till 3 p.m. anyways. So it's challenging. The other unexpected perks that make a difference, you get access to school meals. Some schools will pay for your meals. Mine doesn't. I wish they did. But you still have meals. It's so easy to just go into the cafeteria and eat with your students and not have to pack a lunch. You have community support. You have other parents. Most people that are working at the school they can be other parents. And you have resources at your hands whenever you need support. I've had a school cafeteria manager give me an HEB gift card for groceries when I became a new teacher so that I could afford food for us. My principal gave us a gift certificate to be able to go buy clothes. The school social workers and counselors they know I'm a single mom, they'll offer winter coats if they think maybe I need it for me and my son, because it's just nice to have that built-in support system. Like I said before, it's structure for you and your child. You're going into the same place every day. It can just be really beneficial. And in the school environment, you're usually working with other parents, sometimes single moms, just married parents. So you have a lot of empathy and understanding from coworkers because we're all in the same situation. And it can be very helpful when you know that it's flexible. If your child is sick, everyone's understanding. If you have a professional development day and they have the day off, they can go to work with you. That's helpful. This is something that I find so many benefits from, but it can be challenging, but it's worth it. I feel like all of the benefits outweigh the challenges. As teachers, I don't feel like we get paid what we should be getting paid. It can be very difficult to manage a teacher's salary as a single mom, especially if you're living in an expensive city like Austin. Luckily, I'm a special ed teacher, so I end up getting a larger salary from a stipend that I get every year. But at the beginning of the year, for the first 2 months, we don't get paid our stipend. So that's very challenging to budget with income that you're not always guaranteed. But also, this is the most I've ever been paid in my entire life. So teaching is not the best pay, but there's so many other rewards and benefits. I love being a teacher. I don't want more children of my own, but every single day when I go into work, I have these little people that we just love each other. We call each other our school family, and I love them, and they're my babies, and their parents luckily entrust them to us every day to help support them and care for them, and it's just the most rewarding, beautiful life. I'll go out into public, I'll run into a store and I'll see one of my students from years ago and everyone's screaming, Miss K, and you feel like a celebrity and you just have that bond forever with them. And I just think it's so special. And I love being a teacher. I don't love the pay, but I love being a teacher and I love my students. And I think as a mom, you already have that nurturing ability. You're naturally nurturing and caretaking, and just teaching just seems like a natural outflow of all the skills that you have as a mom. It can be emotionally taxing. It's another challenge. It can be emotionally taxing. You experience things that you can experience homelessness with your students or abuse in different situations. Luckily, since I've been a teacher, I have not experienced any of my students being abused. But there's just different challenges that when you're bonded and close to all these students, you experience parts of their lives that it can be emotionally hard for you. Also, it's exhausting. I'm 43. I would not want to have a toddler right now, but I'm working with 3 and 4-year-olds and they're exhausting. Like their parents, I don't know how they do this all day. It's so tiring. They're so fun. They're so playful, but it is tiring. And after a long day of work, it's exhausting. I go home exhausted and I don't have much to give for my son, much more to give. Sometimes I'll just, after a hard day, there's been times I'll just plop down on the couch and just scroll on my phone and he's like, Mom, what happened today? I'm like, it was a lot. And that can be challenging, but we try to do fun things on the weekends and I try to do fun things at night, but my son, he's old. He wants to be with his friends or he wants to be playing video games or in his room. He doesn't really care about doing, family stuff anymore. Well, we do try to do stuff on the weekends if I'm recharged enough. So there's pros, there's cons, but the connection, the impact, and the alignment with mom life is unmatched with other professions. I wish more teachers were able to stay in the profession because it is challenging. And I think that a lot of people end up giving it up because of the pay, the exhaustion, the lack of work-life balance. And I think that's really sad because there are ways to circumvent or navigate those challenges to make them easier for us. And I hope with my YouTube channel and with my blog and all my resources that I'm able to support teachers in a different way so that you can create balance and you can outweigh all of the things that are challenging to you in the profession and find ways to love your job but also create more balance for yourself and for your family, because it takes certain people to be able to do this profession and work with children every day, and just it can be hard to navigate the professional world of teaching and the children and the politics behind everything. But if we could figure out ways to make it work, that I just think it's a great profession, especially as a single mom. So that's my take on teaching. That's why I believe that it is one of the best professions for single moms. There's really no other job that could give you the same schedule as your child, and I just think it's pretty special. And to get summers off with them and vacations is really nice. So anyways, if you're trying to create peace as a working single mom, check out my free cozy planner templates with daily routine templates in my Pay Teachers shop that I will link below. And just check out some of the resources that I have that maybe could help you find a little more balance, automate your life, and help you create income on the side so that the teacher's salary isn't a drawback to being in this profession. All right, well, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.